All right, what I'm about to say might get me in trouble with some people, but I do not care. Seth MacFarlane, the same guy who gave us Family Guy, American Dad, Ted, and The Cleveland Show, made one of the best science fiction shows of the last decade. Yes, I said it. And I know what you're all thinking. Maurice, come on, Seth MacFarlane, the guy who makes fart jokes on Family Guy? Serious science fiction. Yeah, that's what I said when I first heard about this show. See, when the Orville first premiered on Fox back in 2017, I tuned in because I was a fan of Seth's work. I figured it'd be funny, space comedy, parody kind of things, some laughs, some alien jokes, maybe a Star Wars reference or two. I thought it was a parody show of that era, like Star Trek. And look, there is humor in it in that first season, but that is not what this show was. It subverted all of my expectations. What this show actually is a love letter, a genuine, heartfelt, beautifully written love letter to the golden era of Star Trek, especially Star Trek The Next Generation, which, if you didn't know, was a late 80s, early 90s version of Star Trek that was less about the action and more about the ideas and thoughts and philosophy, morality, the stories, the people, what it actually means to be human or whatever species you may happen to be. The Orville does all of that and then some. It takes itself serious and genuinely fits into the genre really well. Oh, and another point to vouch for this show, my wife ended up watching it with me voluntarily. And if you know my wife, which I hope you don't, because why do you know my wife? You'd understand why that's kind of a big deal. All right, enough rambling. Let me tell you why this show actually works. Firstly, the writing. The writing on this show is not what you'd expect. At least it wasn't what I expect. These episodes tackle real things. Well, real future multi-planetary things and issues, but stuff like I said earlier, philosophy, identity, war, grief, religion, gender, like a full-on deep dive in understandings and immersions into topics of not only the human understanding, but aliens' understanding of their own culture. Sometimes you finish an episode and you just have to sit there because there wasn't really a clear answer or a solution, and that was the point. Sometimes the differences between one group and another are just that. These make the stakes feel real because no group of people or species they display feel like they're doing anything wrong. They're doing what they've always done. They're just following their culture's beliefs. Another thing that got me was the acting, because when things get heavy on the show, these actors show up. And I'm not saying good for a comedy guy show acting. I'm saying like genuinely, legitimately like great and moving acting performances. Now, Seth MacFarlane loves to work with a familiar group of actors. Some of the few people who do voices on his animated shows sometimes work on his movies and other projects. Most of them have all worked together in one other project in some capacity. So there's moments in this series where I forget I was watching the same network that aired Family Guy and Bob's Burgers. This is not a knock. That's a compliment to how seriously everyone involved took this thing. Now, I will note the first season on Fox was finding its footing a little more. It relied on humor more to gain that audience transfer for people who are fans of things like Family Guy and silly shows like American Dad. But the bones were there, and every single season got more and more better. Got better than the last. Like, season 3 is amazing, and when season 4 come out, which he says is already written, I'm already sat for it. The Orville gets more confident, more ambitious, more emotionally complex as it goes. The budget grows, which creates more immersive sets and visual effects, which it really needed. Season 3 is amazing. When it moved to Hulu, it felt like the show finally had everything it needed and the freedom to fully become what it always wanted to be. So you don't need to be a Star Trek fan to really understand this show. Like, I appreciate what Star Trek is, but I'm not deep in the lore. Like, this show pulls you in on its own terms and merit, and my wife, who I already mentioned, watches this show with me voluntarily. I did not force her. She has zero Star Trek knowledge going in, zero. So she just loves the show for what it is. Now, I do want to highlight 3 episodes, one from each season, that highlight something different that I love about this show. So the first one I'm going to talk about is from season 1, episode 3, and it's called About a Girl. Bortus, one of the crew members, this massive stone-faced alien from a species called McFarland's, has just had a baby, and the baby is a girl, which sounds like a reason to celebrate. Except in McFarland's homeworld, their species is all male, and females are only born maybe once every several decades.
It is a female. That is impossible.
And when that happens, their society doesn't celebrate. Their tradition dictates that females are to be corrected surgically to males as soon as possible after birth. Bortus, being stoic in who he is, he wants this done. This is what we all do. His partner Clyden also wants this done, but the human crew of the Orville are a bit thrown off and horrified at this.
It must be done. Yes, I will make the arrangements.
Captain Ed Mercer puts his foot down, saying that being born a girl isn't a condition or disorder, because the McFarland's aren't like the villains of the show. This is just their culture. Once again, they're not bad people. This is their law, their world. This is their rule. It's not weird or odd to them. This is just what they do. It gets even more layered when Clyden reveals he himself was born female and only found out when a human doctor discovered signs of the old procedure. And despite that, or maybe because of it, he still stands by the surgery. I mean, this whole thing goes to a McFarland tribunal with judges and jury and the whole shebang. The crew argues, evidence is presented, and at the end, the tribunal rules that the child will be made male. It's simple as that. Bortus and Clyden still intend to raise him as best as they can, and the McFarland homeworld now has to reckon with one of their most celebrated philosophers, revealing herself to have been originally female. I'm not sure if this part is accurate, but in the later seasons when we see Bortus and Clyden's child, I think the actor is a female, but they treat them as a male. There's no clear win here. Nobody rides off to the sunset. Cultural shifts don't happen overnight. A parent's love doesn't just make injustice go away. You just sit there in the episode, and that's very accurate of the real world. Genuinely, what did you expect? These humans coming on our world telling us how things should be. This isn't some Disney show where the bad guy realizes they were wrong and everyone makes up. No, this is a whole world and culture that cannot be changed in a single day. Now, the second episode I want to talk about is from season 2, episode 5, All the World is Birthday Cake. And this one starts with something genuine exciting. A first contact mission, a planet called Rigor 2 sent a signal out in space years ago, basically asking, is anyone out there? And the Orville answers years later. The crew is pumped. This is the dream. This is what you sign up for. See, the law is they can only interact with new planets when they reach out to them first. They cannot prematurely make contact. Once they do, they welcome them basically into the galaxy. The Rigorians seem advanced. I mean, just like normal people. They're welcoming, reasonable. They sit down and do a big diplomatic dinner, and everything is going great until Commander Kelly casually mentions that she and Bortus have a birthday coming up. And because of that information, they immediately get arrested. And this is one of the twists I love. The planet and the people seem normal like us, but 2 people get arrested for mentioning that they have a birthday. Why?
What the hell?
What is this? What the hell is going on? Get them out of here now!
Prefect, what the hell are you doing?
Go! Check the other 3. Move it. Send them to processing. Move! Prefect, what is the meaning of this?
You claim to be an advanced people, and yet you bring them into our midst at a state dinner, no less?
What have they done?
It turns out this entire planet is governed by astrology, but they take it dead serious. Anyone born under a certain star sign is called Gilead and is considered inherently dangerous and prone to violence and must be locked away for the good of society. I wish I was kidding, but according to their birthdays, Kelly and Bortus are Gileads. They're immediately shipped off to basically a prison camp, red jumpsuits, armed guards, high walls, and they are told that they will never be allowed to leave, even though they are not from this planet. The society also goes through immense means to ensure no person is born Gilead. If you want to know how exactly they do that, please go and watch the show. It gets very interesting. There's this whole dark period where they don't allow births, then there's other ways they circumvent it. It's very in-depth. Captain Ed tries to negotiate the release of his crew members from a planet that genuinely believes with full conviction and zero malice that their star sign makes them dangerous, which doesn't work and forces the crew to have to come up with a really brilliant solution that basically changes the planet's understanding of astrology. Essentially, they fight superstition with superstition because that's the only language this planet's gonna understand right now. But once again, each 1-hour episode of this show feels like a whole movie with how well they're developed and the pacing. Like it's just great, and it makes an hour feel like 2 hours, but in the best way, because like you feel like you're really getting your money's worth. Okay, one more for good measure. I rewatched this one last night, and man, it still hits. This is from season 3, episode 6, and it's called Twice in a Lifetime. Gordon, the helmsman, person who pilots the ship, Ed's best friend, the funny guy, also the voice of Steve in American Dad, which I thought is pretty cool, gets accidentally thrown back to the year 2015 during one of their battles. The crew realizes he's gone, and when they receive a help message from him dated 400 years in the past, there's a few other details that makes this story important, but I'm leaving that out for obvious reasons. Please go watch the episode yourself. But basically, the crew is trying to figure out a way to travel 400 years into the past, and when Ed and Kelly finally get back to go and try and retrieve him, they find Gordon in the year 2025 working as a pilot. He's married, he's with a son and another child on the way. He's settled down, he's living his life. It's been 10 years since he got sent back there, and he had to start living to survive, and that's what he did. He built a family and a life for himself. Gordon spent his first 3 years following protocol as they tell him to do, living alone in a cabin in the woods, hunting animals to survive, before deciding that no rescue was coming and making a life for himself. What else was he genuinely supposed to do? 3 years is a long time. So when Ed shows up and says that they have to go, Gordon tells him no, flat out no. Seeing Malloy tell Mercer to shut up, like the resentment of being abandoned for a decade, only to have your best friend show up and demand that he leave everything that he's built the last 7-10 years and the people he loves, it's truly captivating. And Ed wasn't wrong either. Gordon being there created a timeline that actually wasn't even supposed to exist, but him going back on the ship would essentially wipe his family from existence, his wife, his kid, all of them from existence. And I'm not gonna tell you how this episode ends as well, but I will tell you this: after it was over, I needed a minute to decompress. Like, you can't just watch something like that and just go to the next episode immediately. You have to sit down, think about it, discuss it. And honestly, that's kind of how all these episodes feel. I could keep going. There are episodes in this show that tackle suicide, war crimes, abortion, xenophobia, heavy stuff, and they do it with the kind of care and nuance that most prestige dramas wish they had. Once again, starring the guy who made Family Guy. And I got into this show because I was a fan of Seth MacFarlane, and I stayed because the show earned it. So to wrap it up, if you've never seen The Orville, I'm putting you on right now. Start from season 1, episode 1. Let it find its footing. Trust the process. By the time you hit season 3, you're going to wonder why no one told you about the show. Honestly, by the time you get to like episode 3 or 4, you're probably gonna love it. And if you already knew about this show, drop it in the comments. What's your favorite episode or moment or plot point? Because I want to know how long you've been sitting on this and didn't say anything. Either way, we need season 4 to come out. We need that soon. That is not a request, that is demand. Get working on it, Seth. Thank you.